Hey everyone, nice to see you again. Super tiring week. I'm sure for a lot of you as well. So let's make some dumplings. Why don't you just stay behind, leave your worries behind, and let's make some really nice, simple. I don't think it's simple. Nothing's really simple when it comes to me, but and then we'll catch up when we have some dumplings later. It'll be good fun. So what are we gonna do? Well, every recipe I don't even know where I'm gonna begin. Everything's a journey with me. I got a little onion here. So it's gonna be a chive, cabbage. I'm gonna use a little bit of coriander, a little bit of onion. I'm gonna do two types. One's gonna be pork, one's gonna be shrimp. So we wanna mix it up a little bit. I usually would do pork and shrimp, but you know. If you don't, then you're not in it. Then you're not in the show. I don't even know. Is there any truth to any of it? So I think dice we're gonna keep the root on, and then we're gonna. So I think usually when people make dumplings and they put vegetables in it, the problem would be that it ends up being a little bit too watery for my liking anyway. I'm sure you have the idea of what a nice, perfect, juicy dumpling is, but I don't want it to be soaked. So the important thing to know for me is to make sure we actually cook out some of the liquid out of the vegetables. We don't want to fully cook it, so you kind of want to have the vegetables, let's say, somewhere around 50. No, I think 50 is a bit too much. Let's say 70%. 70% is a good sort of ballpark where you still have a little bit of the crunch from the vegetables, but it's also going to give you, because of the breakdown of the vegetables, it's going to also remove a little bit of the liquid, concentrate it up, and make the dumpling a lot more, lack of a better word, you're going to make the filling a bit more intense because we're cooking out some of the water here. And for me, that's a better way. So we're going to see how it works. I'm sure it's going to taste good. It's going to be a lot of techniques that maybe a lot of people don't see with dumplings. Also, probably don't see videos this long just making dumplings. So I don't know what I can say about that. But proceed at your own risk, right? So now we cut our onions up. As we can see, if you can't really cut your onions this way, don't worry. Um, just mince them with your knife a little bit better afterwards. Like I said, I'm merely doing this for a lot of it's for my own enjoyment. And if you like actually cooking at home, you should challenge yourself, without hurting yourself, of course. Please make sure you don't hurt yourself. I love you. So take care. So this is what it's gonna be for me. What I would do usually would be to separate all of this in different bowls, and then from there set it and cook it one by one. But I think it's raining outside. It's been a rough week. Let's take it easy on ourselves, okay? Let's be nice. So we take all the onions, we put it in a bowl. As you can see, you want them a little as fine as you can. Don't worry if you can't. You know, we're all good this week. We're all good this week. It's a Sunday. Well, for me anyway. Maybe not for you, but it's a Sunday somewhere, right? And then here we've got some really, really nice coriander. These are, for me, a little bit more mature and a bit older than I would like to use them, but they're still good. They do tend to have a little bit, in my opinion, a stronger, I'd say, like really young coriander has a lot different flavor profile than, um, you know, these ones that are a little bit more older. So, yeah, I keep this for the sauce we're gonna make. So we don't want to throw it away. As you can see, I have my obsession with coriander roots in stalks. So it's a problem since birth. Like childhood. So really nice fresh coriander. This is what we're gonna put into as well. It's gonna be a coriander dumpling. I like a lot of herbs. It's gonna be more of a veg focus with a little bit of meat supporting it, which is how I prefer to eat these days. I don't have any preference in terms of being vegan or a carnivore, keto. I don't think any of that's important. I think a healthy, simple, balanced diet, you know, a lot of fiber, a lot of vegetables, something a lot of us struggle to eat these days. We don't have to eat well; we have to eat healthy. That's kind of the difference. And people think eating healthy is expensive, and I know in some countries they probably are. Some parts of the U.S. I've read about some parts of Europe. Vegetables are difficult to come by, and it's a real problem. I think part of it's a very sad thing when you think about it. A lot of Americans they live in the best country in the world, right? For quite a lot of them, they don't get access to basic fresh vegetables, and for me that's heartbreaking. Feels like something went wrong somewhere, and we don't really know what happened. I think for the most part, a lot of us think that way, right? That we don't know what went wrong somewhere. Maybe for those who are younger, you can quite remember the '90s when things were people thought different. I really think so. I might have been a kid, but things were a little bit more different. I'm not saying people changed. I'm saying something changed them. Unless we're gonna all sort of try to figure it out, I don't think anything's gonna change. Beautiful, fresh chives. I found them on. Can you believe it? I found them on clearance in a supermarket. Look at how nice they are. They're still fresh. And supermarket said this needs to go out, right? That we're gonna bin this. We have no value for this, and it's very sad. So these are nice garlic chives. I enjoy them a lot. I'm gonna put them in, and you want to cut them a little bit smaller because chives for me they have a little bit of a, how do I say it? It's quite fibrous. You know, you could never really like bite through them easily. Even when they're braised, even when you cook them in stews for really long, they still hold up quite well. So I think the best way is to cut them up into little bite-sized, little small pieces that we can sort of cook down and soften a little bit. We think that would be good. So something like this. Don't worry. Take it easy on yourself. What do you think that happened to people? What do you think changed? I think, I think the system got worse. I think it's something not a lot of people are talking about, and then understand. I understand why. It's a really big thing. What is the system? What are we talking about when we say the system doesn't work? The system works because of cabbage. But in all seriousness, what do we say when we say the system doesn't work? Who are these people? And and all these big words. They sound really scary. You don't want to tell people you don't understand because you don't want to seem like an idiot. You don't want to seem. You don't want to feel dumb, right? Things are getting complicated, and you see all these experts speaking about things you don't understand, and it's scary. So you wonder, oh, I'm never gonna understand what's really happening. So I think it's better for me to just someone smarter than me will figure it out. Someone better than me will figure it out, and then we'll fix the system. But what's the system? That's mainly the issue. It's so hard to pinpoint. Depending on which political spectrum you are, which gender you are, which subculture you are, the system could mean so many things. And all I'm trying to explain when I speak of the system is the system that you now work in, the one that takes your money, your subscriptions, funnels it up to the richest, most wealthiest people on the world. Yes, those people and those systems are the ones controlling you. That's it. The bank you pay your mortgage to, the little cabbage, little bank, your credit card company, your car subscription, Amazon, Netflix, they're all the same system. I mean, you can see the effects of this system every day. Every day when we wake up on the news, and it feels terrifying and it feels scary. What do? You keep your head down. You say, okay, just today, I'm going to try to make it through today without having to feel anything too big, too scary. Maybe people leave me alone instead of speaking of any major news that's happening. It's going to get shoved into my face. More doom. Tiring, isn't it? So you got the cabbage. You don't need them to be so small. It adds a lot more different texture, and it's going to add so much umami and sweetness. So that's going to be really good. Now, we've got little cabbage, we got chives, we've got coriander. Now, I think a little bit of ginger would make this work really well. I don't need so much. It looks like it's a lot, right? But I don't think so. It's going to be a lot by the time we cut it up. I'd like more ginger in my other, in the sauce. So let's get this nice. See, I would want the ginger not cooked in this first mixture because I want the fresh flavor of ginger to be slightly cooked. You know, there's ginger has, in my opinion, three different sort of stages of flavor. There's raw, and then there's the part where they start getting a lot more vibrant at some point where it peaks up during a slow cooking process where it gets a lot more spicier, and from there I think it starts mellowing out into this very earthy background sort of note where a lot of braised ginger dishes, if you've had it before, you'd understand what I mean. It doesn't become as spicy, it becomes a lot more warming. And so we want to do a two-step sort of thing where we have the freshness of the ginger, and then we've got the freshness of the. We're going to use fresh ginger inside the pork, and then we're going to put some ginger that we're going to cook, and we're going to use that for the sauce. So we're going to have cooked ginger, and then we're going to have notes of like mild, rawish ginger, because I don't think the ginger will get too cooked inside the dumplings. I think they'll get cooked more in the sauce because it's more direct. But we'll see. I think it will add a nice amount of nuance. I say nuance a lot, it's my favorite word. I think it adds a lot more character when you look at it. You're, oh, a little bit of ginger here. You add a base note of ginger from being cooked, and then you go from there, and then you have like a lighter ginger flavor that's slightly cooked and adds a bit more spice, and then the raw ginger, which we probably won't use. If we have like a dipping sauce, we might put in there. But I like improvising, jazzing around when I do stuff. So that's the whole point why the video is always an hour and a half. So now we get our ginger here. We're gonna use that for later. Now I'm gonna set that aside, clean our board a little bit. Now this is a Chinese sausage. You can see there's a lot of fat. Has a nice amount of sweetness in here. I think they put sugar or maybe something else. If someone knows better, they can tell me. So what I do is you don't want to cut this all the way through. You want to get it like a little bit, and then we rip it, and then we rip it open, and then we get out the skin. So if you cut all the way through, then you gotta spend all the time peeling it. Waste of time. Look at that, easy. Now I don't want any big chunks of this. I want it all actually melted out and rendered. So we'll render this down, turn this into like slightly crispy bits, get all the fat out, and then we'll add this to the dumpling. So we add a bit more sort of characteristics and makes every bite a little bit more unique. So you might get some bites where you might get these little Chinese sausages in them, but then you'll get some bites where you won't. And I think that's where a lot of the good parts of eating comes in, stuff that you can't really quantify. A lot of food now is in restaurants, it's very standardized, it's super controlled. We don't really it's because of consistency, and I think that's okay. But we do forget that in home cooking, which I think is or we're kind of a lot of people can't cook these days, and that's kind of sad. People need to cook more. People need to cook more, and because cooking gives you more power. When you're in charge of more aspects of your life, no one's gonna tell you something. No one's gonna say, "Hey, I think you should do it like this. Hey, you should eat your fries this way." And I think that's a good thing. We give too much power away. Every day we give too much power away. We let companies tell us how our food should taste. We let people tell us how we should dress. We let people tell us how we should drink, how our houses should look, how our little whatever. I don't know. I've been doing things the way I see fit for myself and dealing with the consequences for many, many years. So, what do I have to say for that? I can't say much. So we have, I don't know, veggies here. We've got the little porky things. We got the little Chinese sausage. We got a little bit of ginger. We're gonna do this differently. Don't worry about it. So before I think we move on to the next step where we start making the dumplings, we have to cook this, and then we gotta render out the fat so we can bring everything together. So I'm gonna move over to the burners, and we'll see you there. Uh, hey everyone. So we've got the Chinese sausages we diced up earlier. We're gonna have to render them now really slowly so they don't burn because these have a lot of sugar in them. They're almost candy like, if I can be honest. So we have to go really slow. So the pan's still cold, we don't have any heat. And then we're just gonna add these in when the pan is still cold. Don't worry about it. We just need to keep stirring it gently, letting it just render out. We've got no worries besides this. Remember, well, tiny fire, nothing too crazy. We can add a little bit oil now as it gets warm, and we can see the sausages starting to kind of, sweat. We add a little bit of oil. I know it looks a lot, but don't worry about it. Remember, all this fat's gonna cook all the vegetables. Add nice flavor, a little nice chunk of butter. These aren't dumplings you want to eat every day. So, as we can see, all the fat melt. We want to cook this until we get a nice little brown mixture. So we're gonna get the nice milk solids in the butter to brown. We're gonna get the sugar in the Chinese sausages as well. That's gonna brown it further. And we wanna do it all over a really low heat. And that's gonna make it really good. Gonna add a ton of flavor. See the butter is foaming up nicely. Now we can turn up the heat a little bit so we don't have, if the heat's too much, the butter's gonna start browning differently. And then while there's still butter that's slowly melting into it. So that's why we want to keep a very low heat. We want all the fat to slowly start coming out. And then we go really high. Well, not really high, but we go up a little bit slow. And then that's how it's going to work. We're going to take our time. We're not in a rush. There's no deadline. Be nice to yourself. That's the only way we're going to be more aware. If we're going to be more aware of ourselves, we have to be nicer to ourselves. Because when your nervous system is stressed out, you can't really think and you're just on survival mode. So then you ask yourself, hey, wait a minute. I'm always kind of stressed out, even in personal things. That means you've never had a relaxed nervous system for a really long time. And if that makes you feel like someone else is in the driver's seat, that's because it is. The things we do when we're stressed doesn't really represent us, if you think about it. So you see the butter's all nice and foamy. We want to let this keep going very slowly. We're not in a rush. Remember, we don't want to be stressed. Now, before anyone's in the comments going like, I'm a hippie, I know what stress is. Trust me, a lot better than all of you. Well, not all of you. A lot better than some of you. As we can see, it's all melting. It's all getting slowly caramelized. Now, we can slowly turn up the heat. That's a bit too much. I think that's good. So here's a little tip for you. Brown butter caramelizes around 160 Celsius. So you can see as I turn up the heat, the butter starts foaming again. So the milk solids are slowly coming up to temperature The entire mixture is coming up to temperature. We can start seeing the sausages browning even more. So this is kind of what we want, you see. Now, to the naked eye, that doesn't look very hot. I can guarantee you this is somewhere around 130 to 140 Celsius. Let's check. It's even higher than what I thought. Wow, you see? We're almost at 160. We're almost there. So around here is when the butter will start browning. So can you see the Chinese sausage and everything? They're all starting to get nice and brown on the outside. Now we need to bring this mixture, lower the temperature really fast with this. So now we're introducing a lot of raw veggies. The temperature of the entire thing is gonna drop. Let's make sure we get everything. You know what? Don't wash the bowl. Just leave it. We'll use it again, a little bit of raw stuff in there. You had a hard day. It's time to relax. And when we make the dumplings, it's just gonna be a lot more relaxing and therapeutic. So now we turn up the heat, but not for too long. There's a lot of fat in here, and if we bring it up too high, we're going to evaporate too much water. We want the vegetables to lightly soften, still have texture. Now it's a good time to season it a little bit. Some salt, of course, some MSG. Now you can see all of it kind of heating up. Now we lower the heat, bring it back down again. Because if we cook it too high temperature, we're going to lose a lot of the aromas, a lot of the flavors, and we want that all trapped inside the dumpling. We don't want it going out. And then now we cover it, we let it sit for a while under very low heat so all the ingredients soften. And then we can add the pork, we can add the seasoning, and all that good stuff. Now we can see. You can see how everything's a bit softer? That's kind of it. Turn off the heat. That's all we need. A lot of it's still kind of raw and crunchy, which I think is gonna be really good. But what we want to do is basically cook out as much liquid as we can while still kind of maintaining the integrity of the vegetable and all the different constituent parts of it. So now for me, I'm going to start stirring because the pan is still hot, evaporation is still happening, we can see steam, and this is how I kind of all that flavor is out really. That's how we kind of want to get all the flavor out of the vegetables, to mix with the oil, mix with the juices of the vegetables even. And that's gonna be really tasty. By itself now, I'm pretty sure it's already really tasty. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of a liquid base, and then we're gonna cook that just slightly, just to kind of agitate and get the aromas and the alcohol. We're gonna put some sake in there. Gonna put some Chinese rice wine in there, and all this gonna add a lot layers and layers of flavor. So now, you see, if you can see, there's still steam coming out. So just keep stirring it. You want to get all that steam out. Make sure the mixture cools down before you introduce your meat, and you want to stir to make sure everything gets incorporated. And this is where I feel a lot of other dumplings fall short. They don't cook their mixture, and it makes for still a very good dumpling. I'm not saying, dumplings in general are pretty good. I can't really tell someone they've made a bad dumpling. Well, you can make a bad dumpling. I've had some terrible ones. But if it's made with love, it's always going to be a good dumpling. Let's have a taste. That's really good. Here's some white pepper. Remember, we're going to make a little nice spicy dipping sauce with it. So we don't want too much pepper because then we're going to lose all the delicate flavors of all the vegetables. And I don't think that's what we want. Vegetables are good. Let's put an eighth of a cup, 30 mLs of sake, cooking sake, but if you got some of that Elon Musk money, you can do whatever you want. Quarter cup, well, half of a quarter cup, eighth of a cup. Let's see if we can get a tablespoon of sesame oil. I don't think so. So maybe I gotta go get some sesame oil. So then we gotta do half a teaspoon. I don't know if you can see that, but there you go. Sesame oil. And will you look at that? Perfect. Let's just dump in the rest. Some Chinese sherry. I'm just gonna use 1 tablespoon, but because I don't want to wash the other spoon, I'm gonna just use the same one. I'm gonna stir, stir, stir. Boy, oh boy, if there was smell-o-vision, you'd be down on your luck because this smells terrible. I'm just kidding, it smells amazing. So now, when the mixture's cooled down, oh, we need a bit of time. Hey, and then we'll go back to that side. And then we'll go make the dumplings. We'll put the mixture together. It'll be good. All right. So now we're gonna make the filling, and it's gonna be tasty. We got our dirty bowl because we're too lazy. Now I'm going to split this mixture. I believe into two because I'm making a shrimp one and I'm making a pork one. So let's say half of this goes into the shrimp because this one's got more liquid and I want that to go into the pork. So, wow, that's delicious. That's that's delicious. Now, let's just move this out of the way. Now, see, the mixture's nice, a little bit warm. These are just like really fresh, peeled shrimp that I've lightly salted. Remove a lot of excess moisture. These shrimp, because of the way they get caught, they tend to be really wet. So a little bit of light curing and putting them over a sieve, spreading them out, and then just drain. That helps a lot with the texture later on. Then I think the best way is we're gonna mix it up. Now look at that. That already looks so tasty. Then to this mixture, I'm just gonna add well, a tablespoon roughly of cornstarch. And what cornstarch is gonna do, it's going to expand and absorb a lot of moisture. It'll give you a little nice, very smooth, velvety texture. So this way, our dumplings don't get all soggy when we cook them, and the cornstarch will gel up and sort of help maintain any moisture that comes out of the shrimp as well. I put one for this. I feel it might be too little, but I don't like putting too much. Remember, it's not there to bulk up. It's not there for anything else besides just helping us keep a more cohesive texture when we make the dumplings. And now I gotta put the cloth down because the last time I put the pot here, look at that. Our set's damaged. Now what we're gonna do? So then this one's for the pork. We're gonna put the pork in. Now if you don't eat pork, this works incredibly well with chicken, beef, any sort of minced meat. Really, in my opinion, uh, would work. So don't worry about it. Omit the alcohol out if you don't like it, or if your religion, if you're Muslim, don't put it in. It's fine. What I'm kind of hoping more that you understand is how to make a good dumpling filling more than anything else. It's not about the recipes, it's about how we're gonna use little techniques and little things that help us make a much better product at the end of the day. The shrimp has been salted, so I'll salt this mixture a little bit more. It's important to have like quite a decently seasoned. I don't need it to be overly seasoned or perfectly seasoned because we already have a sauce that we're gonna make. So some MSG. I'm tired of yelling MSG, so break up the mixture, stir it, and then we're gonna put a little bit of cornstarch here as well. There you go. And then we're just gonna stir it in. I said I think for the shrimp was enough, but maybe we need a little bit more for the pork, right? Because raw meat has a lot more liquid in it, so the shrimp has been cured and a lot of it's gonna come out. So I don't think we have to worry too much about it. So I think it's really good. We can see the mixture is holding itself together. We've got a little bit of seepage here. And if it's already seeping now, I think we could just, we don't want to press it. We'll leave it like this and let the cornstarch sort of absorb more. And then from there, I think we can tell if we need to add a little bit more or less. Let's see, we can check the shrimp and we'll know. How do you see there? See how all that stuff is seeping out? So this could use a little bit more. Let's see. I think this is good. The mixture is a little bit malleable. You see when we lift it, how it doesn't just like fall apart and start moving everywhere. It kind of tries to move as like a mass. So that's kind of the texture that we can hope for. Of course, it's not going to hold together like mincemeat. And then if you chop up the shrimp, I feel then you lose all the nice texture. So kind of losing the point. So we just need some real good skills wrapping up the dumplings. So in order for us to make dumplings and keep them kind of fresh, we need to cover them in a cloth. So let's clear out all this and then we'll start preparing our space. The cloth just helps it sort of maintain moisture. It doesn't, so we can cover them because if the skin starts cracking and drying, it's not going to cook very well. So yeah. So I've bought this instead of making them. I could make him, but this is too much work. There you go. It's too much work, and these are actually really nice. So I don't see the problem here. Let's just make some space for our dumplings. You can make them. The recipe is quite simple. It's about 400 grams, and you want 65% hydration. So you take 400 grams of flour, you times that by 60 to 70% hydration. Add to that 1% of salt, 0.5% MSG. Now here's the kicker. Hot water or cold water, that's what gives you the difference. If you want a really soft, kind of tender dumpling, use hot water and then mix it when it's still hot. That gelatinizes the starch and then gives you a more tender pastry. Cold water will give you more of a chewy texture, which I think both. For me, it's a matter of preference, right? Some people make them chewy, some people don't. So I like all of them in any way whatsoever. I'm just not too picky. But when I do it at home, I tend to like just buying them because much effort, and I just don't have the time. We don't have the time. We're had a hard week, right? So we're here to relax. We're here to chill. Oh, I forgot one important thing. Hold on. Make sure you have water when you make dumplings. Some people use egg whites. Look, whatever works. Some people use egg whites. Some people say this. Some people use that. Whatever really works for you. I'm not too concerned with that. So every time I use this, I do this. I pull it so we have something that's a bit more instead of a circle, it's a bit more of a. I don't know the word oblong is correct or semicircle or whatever. So you're essentially giving more space here. You're getting a bit more stretched dough, and then you can make a more juicier dumpling. So I always think something like this big spoon here to test first, and then from there I know, okay, it's not gonna fit. So let's say something like this then. So you'll see me as I make them adjust the filling to get more accurately. I don't really want holes in them or not holes, but I don't want pockets in them. I want a really nice, luscious dump. So what do we do now? Wet our fingers and then we spread the liquid. I'm just doing a very simple traditional fold. I'm not very good at doing all the crazy other dumpling folds I've seen everyone else do. So here's a simple one. I pinch. It's really hard trying to do it in the camera, but I'll try my best. And then you fold, and then you tuck it your finger here, and then you fold, and then you press the back, and then you fold another time, and then you pinch, and then now it gives you a little pocket that you can hold on to, and then I fold. Look at that. Very simple. Nothing too crazy. I feel people going a bit too crazy with the dumpling folds these days, and in my opinion, you can have a dumpling that looks amazing, but if it doesn't taste good, that's a different problem. So I prefer to focus on the good dumplings, making tasty dumplings rather than pretty dumplings. Of course, presentation kind of matters, but we're serving this to friends, so flavors matters more for me. So you can see now I maybe put too much, but we're gonna try anyway because the dough's gonna allow us to stretch it further. And you'll find yourself struggling at first because you're still calibrating to how much dumpling filling should I put in here, and then you're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. See? Oh no, I made a mistake, and what am I gonna do now? It's all right. Don't worry about it. Mistakes happen. That's why we try to grow, so we don't. This one's not as beautiful, but we'll do better the next one. The first one was just beginner's luck. That's why we got it so nice. So let's see again. I think this time I'm gonna get the filling down a bit better. We're gonna be able to see bim bim. It's perfect. Wet sides. Let's go. I didn't pull it this time because I think I've forgotten how thin the skins were on this brand. So we're not gonna expand and pull them. We're just gonna try to make smaller dumplings. So you see, this is pretty nice. Dumplings are kind of like people, in my opinion. When someone gives you dumplings, you don't know how they're gonna feel and how they're gonna taste because you can't really see them. And if some people are really good at folding dumplings, i.e., putting on a mask, how are you gonna know until you eat them? Well, I don't mean you eat them like literally, no. As we try to understand them, we start understanding the feelings inside the people, the dumplings, the people, and then you're gonna start realizing: is this the flavor dumpling I like? I like how it looks like, but do I like what's inside this dumpling? Because think about it. Isn't that what all really matters in a dumpling? How it tastes at the end of the day? It can look bad. We try all not to look like bad dumplings. But isn't it all a gamble at the end of the day until someone tells you, hey, this dumpling's really good, you should go try it. And then you eat it and you're like, oh no, they put in things that I didn't like and I didn't know and I ate them. And I think that's kind of like people, right? You don't really know what you're going to get until you start getting close to them, start listening to them speak. Maybe some important things if you have. And I think you have to speak important things with your friends. Because if you don't speak important things with your friends, who do you speak them to? Think about it. Everyone's like, oh, that's too deep for me. That's too hard for me. But if they're not able to do that to you, do you think they can do it for themselves? That's a problem, really, for me. So, dumplings. I think this is the perfect ratio so far. How many dumplings do you think we'll get? Leave it in the comment. We'll put some money on it. What people are telling you. Stop really caring about what other people think. Mainly because for me, it's pointless. And see, if you actually do one of these, just want to make sure you pinch them up, just so that they don't open up. That's it. Don't have to like throw the whole thing out. And life is. I've always said it in my last episodes. Life is complicated, and I don't think you can use the same thing that worked for me. We can use the same structure, but we gotta fill it up with different things. And a lot of people have this fear inside them that if I fixed my problems, if I got better, and I became more, of an adult, I'd lose the kid in me. I wouldn't know how to be fun anymore, or vice versa. People who are too, oh, and so I don't know because I believe everyone's got their own little path, and the path that you're on, either making dumplings or not, is for your own thing to discover. And there are things in your life that will tell you what you like and what you want. And the only really thing you have to do is be aware of it. So you want to periodically mix the mixture so the cornstarch absorbs some of the liquid. Otherwise, it'll seep out. So, like the dumpling as well. Occasionally, you have to check in with yourself. Ask yourself, hey, is this what I want? Am I touching grass enough? Rather than just believing everything's okay because the outside world's telling you everything's okay. When was the last time you checked in with yourself? Be aware of yourself. Checked in with your needs, checked in with how you feel. Hey, is this the friends I want? Am I the kind of person that I hope to be inside. You see, capitalism does the thing. It keeps us so busy, keeps us always running. And the difficulty with talking about capitalism is that a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And I can kind of understand why. First of all, it's a system that we're taught to never question. Since we're young, this is just what we have, and we don't know any better. And if you dare ask how and why this works, you're a charlatan. You you get people look at you weird because it's the whole. It's always been this way. What are you asking about? Your sky is always blue. The fact that you're asking about it means you're crazy. And I think these people are actually really scared because what happens if I have to really look at the consequences of the system that I'm living in, what it's doing to people, and it's so scary. And I really understand why a lot of people are so worried and they don't really want to talk about it. Or when they do talk about it, it's a lot of anger, there's a lot of emotions that go along with it. And I don't blame them. Like I said, it's scary. It's it's like someone coming to you and asking you, what is space? It's always been there. Just never looked at it. We live in it. So what do you do now? Who do I ask? Capitalism is not a sustainable system. It really isn't. All the literature shows you, and then people will disagree with you and say it's not real capitalism. It's not now. And for the most part, okay, you could be right. Oh, you see what happens when you forgot to pick the water? So let's take out some of this. It's not, guys. There are other ways. It's not, people. There are many other ways for us to live in this world. And the only thing that's limiting us are these made up rules that we think is true. And if you don't believe me, there are a lot smarter people than me talking about this every day. And what happens if we keep going in the same trajectory we're going? There's no way things are going to be better. I'm just telling you. It's not going to be better. Our climate's going to shit because we're just taking everything we want, where we do not care what's going to happen, because who's going to be around in 100 years to see all this? The weather's changing, people are changing. Scary, isn't it? It's like everything's now out to kill you, and the only thing you have to figure out is how to die. That's frankly really bleak. And I'd like to be more aware of my other options. If there's possibility, I know there are other options. I've seen other options. I've lived in other options. I've lived in a while for a month and a half in the mountains in the Himalayas, just because I was I think 27, 28. I can't remember. It's been a while, and I just figured, hey, why am I not going to and just figure it out when I was working in the Himalayas that I also wanted to try living in the wild. I really enjoyed it. And it was something that showed me, it really opened my eyes. It really showed me this different way of living that none of us were told about, and that it was actually all pretty much available if that's the life you want to live. Um, I don't think anyone can really stop you from just living in the wild. There may be permits and stuff, but if you're actually living as close to nature as possible, I had a tent. Yeah, I had little MREs and all that, but I had enough food for only like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. But I was gonna make a challenge where I stayed there longer than I could, and so every day I had to hunt pheasant. I had to hunt hare because I was not good enough. I had a bow that I made. The guys taught me how to make, and we made together. Made out of bamboo, and I was able to shoot it pretty far. But you should try if you never bow hunted and you think it's a relatively simple thing, like, oh yeah, if society collapses, I'm just gonna go and make a bow, get a bow and go hunt some deer. No, I don't think you're gonna be able to do that, sir, ma'am. That's not possible. If you've never hunted before in your life, there's so many factors that you as a modern human have never realized. Just animals in the wild are just wired all the time. They're just plugged in. They're so stressed, and all they're doing is just doing the basic things they need to survive. And that's kind of wild that we're we're this kind of people who's like, oh, we should go hustle and grind and put, like, there are deers in the wild. They're just so wired. A little snapping of a branch would set them off. I mean, like tiny. They're eating, and I was trying this. I was stalking this deer for I think maybe 6 hours around my camp. Just not. I'm not a master, like, like stalking. I was just really far, and I was afraid that every time I got closer, that I would just scare it and run away. And the truth was, um, when I got closer, it got scared and run away because of just this little crushing of the leaves. And can you imagine that you're living in nature? Can you imagine your nervous system living in nature? Just 24/7, just plugged in, wired, going like, why is the leaf snapping? Why is that branch snapping? I just smell something weird. That thing's trying to kill me. And then we take the modern conveniences we have for granted a lot. And that's what I think is really funny. So I'm afraid we might not have enough for. I've got one, two, three. I think I can make 12 of these. And then we'll move on to the shrimp. And then we'll put the little mixtures in the chiller to let them kind of set. Don't want to cook dumplings super fresh, in my opinion, anyway, because for me, it's going to just open up. And I feel like if you let it sit, especially in a freezer, and these freeze really well, by the way, so you don't really have to worry too much. And so remember when you're brushing to remove anything that's sort of in the way from letting it seal up. Now, remember, pinch, fold, push, and fold. And then you lift it, open up the back, push and fold. And then you pinch, and then you have a relatively good dumpling. So I've got one, two, three, four, five. We've got 16 dumplings. I think I can keep this for. If we have more, we'll make more. So we'll see how it goes. Now look at that. Can you see all the liquid that came out of this? And then when we mix it, so we could probably go a little bit more. Shrimp's got a little water too. So let's mix this up and see what happens. Of course, it's gonna be a lot drier, but well, I won't say. Now let's try the shrimp. Let's try the shrimp. By the way, if anybody wants to leave a comment and tell me what dishes you'd like me to cook, I'm more than happy to do it. If I can do it, if I can find the ingredients and all that, I'm more than happy to do it. Show you my ideas of improving little maybe comfort dishes that you have. There you go, little shrimp dumpling. So I got another cloth here, and then we're gonna move. We're gonna cover it, and then we're gonna see. I'm gonna put all these things here. These shrimp dumplings are way harder to like fold. I can definitely feel it because it's just not gonna hold as well as the pork. So maybe blitzing them up a little bit will help, but I don't want to sacrifice the texture, so I'll just deal with like having a hell of a difficult time folding these boys. But I'll deal with it because I want the shrimp whole. Oh, these are. They're all making it easy. Come on, shrimp. Cooperate. Do you know what happened to the scale? You've seen better days. Huh. So, I think we're okay. I think we're trying our best, and that's important. We're trying our best, and if sometimes our best isn't enough, we give a bit more, but that's it. We don't give so much. And then, so with the prawn, I feel like every time we take a filling out, we have to stir it just to get a nicer consistency. Because I think it'll just get wetter and wetter and wetter if we don't do something. If we don't agitate the mixture, I think it'll just get too wet. And then it will just be a massive struggle to fold it. See? But besides that, I think we can fold them. We're just gonna expect them to hold up properly. So we're gonna have to be good about this. Oh shoot. We can do it, come on. Probably need to put a little bit less filling. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. They're really hard. They're really hard. Constantly falling apart. They're really wet too. So the dough's not sticking well. So shall we cornstarch it up a bit more? Let's just go. Let's try a little bit more. Let's just the thing with cornstarch is also you have to remember. The thing you have to remember about cornstarch is it kind of loses power over time. It doesn't hold its gelling power that for extended periods of time, even when you cook it. So you could try making a little sauce out of cornstarch, and then when you see them later, and keep it, and then you'll see it later, just sort of become a little bit softer. The sauce from the cornstarch just starts breaking apart, and then they lose texture. No matter how much you heat it up, how much you add, you have to add more cornstarch and sort of activate it again. So for me, that's sort of I think what's happening here. But we're gonna power through. We're gonna try to make shrimp dumplings, and even if they don't work out, it's still shrimp dumplings, Like, how bad can it go? Well, my friend doesn't eat any shrimp, and my girlfriend loves shrimp. So, you know, we are here to serve, and we are happy to do it because cooking is a beautiful way to give people something. We should cook for other people more. Stop taking them to restaurants. Oh, you see what happens when the mixtures too. I don't know if you can see it, but there's an opening there, and that's because it's just too wet. But I am a-okay with that. It's always happened before, so I don't mind doing it as long I don't end up having problems folding it. I'm okay eating it if it falls apart. It doesn't really bother me. You see, this one's just not gonna do. You look at that, and you see what happens when we don't fold the mixture. So we have to fold the mixture every time. And see, this isn't gonna work anymore because the dumpling wrapper's too oily. So in this cases, we'll dump this one out. So, I see. We have to mix them every time. Otherwise, it's not going to work. We're gonna fold them, put them down. We could try another fold. That might help the dumplings stay better, but I wish I knew how to do another fold. Oh, I am not that talented as you think I am. Sure, I'm just gonna make like probably one more, and what I'm gonna do is just mix the mixture with the pork. I'm gonna let the mixture sit a bit tomorrow, and then we're gonna have to make the little chili oil dip, little chili vinegary spicy dip with some of the best chilies you'll ever have in your life. I don't think you've ever had chilies like this before. They are absolutely phenomenal chilies. Uh, they come from Bhutan. I used to work there, so I know people from there. And so they sent me and then bring me some chilies. So now we're gonna start making the little sauce thing, and we're gonna move all this into the chiller. I'm not gonna use all of this. It's gonna be for something else next time. Well, not next time. For me, anyway. And then we'll see you to make the sauce. And so now we're gonna make the little dipping sauce. I think what we're gonna do is first we gotta torch these chilies. These, like I said before, they are Bhutanese chilies, but They're completely ripe on the vine, sun dried, and all that jazz. Hey, these are frankly some banging chilies, some of the best chilies I've ever had in my life. Rivaling even those that come from Spain and the Espelets and these are just so good. These are green chilies that have been plucked, blanched, and then sun dried, so that's why they look kind of blonde, golden colory. Also, umami bombs, super umami bombs. So we're gonna make a little sauce that I learned when I was there, something like this. So what we have to do first is we're gonna have to torch and burn all the chilies. So here's a little trick: you put a little steaming rack over so you don't burn your boards. Kind of important, the board. And then we take a little torch, and then we just move the really expensive knife out of the way. Then we just start torching them, and they'll puff up as we torch them. They'll get nice and crispy. It's just smoke everywhere. Don't worry about charring. I really like it when you torch something and then it just sort of expands and open up. I think it's really beautiful. So now let it cool down, and then we flip them so we can torch the other side a little bit more. And then I'm just gonna chop them up. And if they're hard enough to be pounded in the mocajete, I'll do it. But otherwise, if they're still soft like these ones, they're soft. So I'm probably gonna just cut them with a knife and just get them all really nice and soft, real nice and small. Same thing again. Want to torch them really nice, really slowly. Don't burn anything. Don't burn your house. No, we'll just let them cool. As you can see, when they cool, they'll get a little bit hard. So we're just gonna put them somewhere to cool down. Get this out of the way, and I'm probably gonna dice this whole onion up. I think that's probably the smarter way to go. I actually took off the root, which is not what you want, but we can still use here. Oh, go away. So as usual, let me just. Yeah, probably should have wiped the knife, but I'm the only one eating. So dice them. Really nice, really simple. Like I said, I prefer smaller pieces because then they'll catch onto the sides of the dumplings and you'll get a little bit of texture as you bite into them. For me, like I said, I enjoy having this little kind of rusticness in it in my food. I don't like everything to be pureed and soft, and it's just not what I do anymore. I like making real food for real people, you know? Now for all the big pieces, let's just roughly chop them up. Like I said, I like them rustic. If you don't like it and you want it fine, just cook everything and then blend it. Simple as that. I enjoy the different textures. I enjoy how everything sort of mingles. You know, we got the little finely chopped ginger. We got like little cube diced onions. We're gonna slice this up. We're gonna chop this up, and then all that's just gonna cook, and it's gonna come in together and just give a much more interesting sort of dish rather than we just puree everything, which I don't disagree with. I just think time and place, everything's kind of getting really super processed, which is fine. To each their own. I just enjoy having the texture, really. Now I'm going to slice this really thinly, and when you can see later on how I cook them, and then garlic will just melt in the oil, and then we'll add things by level based on the aromatic compounds. I like to add this last. I like to add this in the second last. So we'll do the onions and the ginger first. Like I said, so use a little mandolin or a little slicer if you want. Just be careful of your fingers. Don't cut them. Remember, your fingers are important. You're not rushing anywhere, so we're doing this for ourselves and for the people we love. You got this. And what I'm gonna do with this is just sort of do this so we can break up the root to about the rough size of what these stalks are. So, just put your knife through and pull it. Like I said, we're all here to just make tasty food. We're not here to get any awards. Here's a really nice tip to have. So these parts here are nice I don't want to mix them up yet. So these part here are the roots, and they're a little bit more fibrous. So I would start chopping this part more, and just don't touch this because this is gonna give us, like I said, nice texture. But this is gonna make the eating experience a lot better because the roots, they can be fibrous, they can be nice. It can be nice if they're small and you don't notice them. So I would do something like this. I'll leave this part alone. Won't fuck with this. Yeah, this one here. There you go. That is good enough for me. Now we can see the chilies when they're cooled down. So this is kind of what we want. Now we just break up all the stalks. You take out this little part here because that's where the hard stuff is. We'll take this little pieces out. Now you obviously can seed your chilies, which is what I'll be doing. I'll be seeding the reds, but I won't be seeding the little blanched ones. You see what I mean? And how I do it? What a mess. Now I just take the little chilies and I put them over like a, let's say this. Now we just like, yeah, we just kind of do this. Just take them. I don't want to this. We're gonna just rub them, see what happens. If they come out, they come out. If they don't, they don't. And this is just kind of like my making sure it doesn't get too spicy. These chilies aren't that spicy. The red ones are obviously, but the rest of them are. So as long as we take out the majority, which is a large amount. And remember, don't touch your face. I learned it the hard way all the time. I keep touching my face because I'm not working in like a professional kitchen. So at home, I'm like really comfortable. And I'm just wiping sweat off my face and then I touch my eye and it's all just bad news from there. Okay, for me, that's fine. I like spicy. So just sweep out the excess here. Now I just do this. See? So the chilies are already burnt. If we want them to add more flavor, we have to do it somewhere in the middle where we put the onions in, just to make sure that the oil doesn't further bring them to a point where they burn. So that's a little bit of a trick if you want to use it in oil. Now, if you can't do this, just put this in a spice blender and just go ham, just go, just go crazy. Don't worry about it. I do this. Cooking is very therapeutic for me. I enjoy doing it. But just over the last couple of years, people's just been crazy and crazy about opening restaurants, and it's just about money now. The chefs in because when that happened to me, I worked for this company and straight up just flat out lied to me about all the social programs they were gonna do. Frankly speaking, completely lied about everything. Told me things like, "Oh, we care about people and we care about community, so we're gonna want to build a restaurant that reflects that." And when I showed up, it was just corporate greed, nonstop every day. It was just major corporations using the kindness of other people who care about other people, and just using them basically for greed. I've seen firsthand like how bad companies have been exploiting you, regardless of how big the company is or how good your portfolio and your whatever looks like. Most of them don't really. A lot of them these days are just full of fluff and mostly just lying. Gone are the days of integrity that my parents had, and so we have it easier apparently. So now what we can do is we can make the sauce, and the sauce is really quick, so you'll see it happen really fast, and it'll be fun. I'll see you there. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start cooking everything to make that little nice dipping sauce. So we want to make sure we got something like a medium heat. We want something like a medium heat. We don't want it to be so hot. Here it's gonna go really slow, and then we're gonna bring up the temperature really nice and high, and then we're gonna drop it. I'll show you exactly what I mean. We put a little bit of sunflower oil, neutral oil, any of that's good. So let me heat it up. Now here's a little trick to know. Put your garlic in first always because ginger takes a long time to extract out flavor. And so what you gotta do is make sure You infuse in layers so you do not get. If you infuse your garlic or your sauces, basically, when you cook them, you want to do it in layers. You don't want to throw your onions, you don't want to just throw everything in there and wish for good luck. So, what you're going to do is add it slowly and then add it in layers. As you can see, the oil's already starting to heat up. So this way we can make sure everything gets slowly infused into the oil instead of all the flavors just sort of, whoosh, flying off into the ether. Get the oil. So that fire is going to bring it up to temperature. Every time it goes up to the temperature, it gets too hot, we dump in the next ingredient to bring it down. So all these dried chilies will absorb all the liquid that's coming out of all the vegetables that we're cooking. So not in a rush. We're not in a rush. Now I'm going to put in the chopped ginger. We're going to just make sure, because you can see a little tiny bubbling happening here all around. This is kind of the temperature you want to keep it at. You don't want it to go, you don't want it to get super hot. Because flavor, a lot of things infuse in flavor over very low temperature actually. High heat volatilizes the aroma and then it just sort of flies away. So we want to make sure everything's done in layers. Now we add a little bit of salt. We're not going to put too much. We're going to use mostly soy for the seasoning. So the kitchen smells amazing. Now as that's absorbing and cooking, I'm going to add the onions because I like the onions to be a little bit more soft and a little bit more sweeter because we're going to add a lot of savoriness. And I think it's better this way. And then now we add a little bit more salt. We just add as we add items, we add a little bit of salt. So can we see now all the water that's leaching out? The juices of the onion coming out, seeping into the pans. That's when we want to add this so we can absorb all that liquid. And then we cover it just to make sure we trap in all the juices, all that steam. And then that's gonna circulate in there, rehydrate the chilies. You'll see in a while what I mean. And so when we do this, we're gonna lower the heat down. So we extract everything out properly. We get the juices out. This is gonna steam, open up the chilies. The oil is gonna help it. So we can see all the little steam coming out. Look at that. This aroma. Like, so we're gonna get the coriander in last because I think that's the most delicate component of this entire thing. And then that's just gonna deglaze with the soy sauce, with a little bit of black vinegar, some, I don't know. I think that's enough. I think black vinegar and soy is probably enough. Now we can lower the heat. Now we can see how the chilies are lending its color, spreading it around. Now we lower the heat, we're just gonna cover it again. So usually you need to cook dried chilies a lot longer, but because we torch them, crush them, and chop them up to like little tiny pieces, they'll cook a lot faster and absorb a lot more liquid. So you could see like a lot of the liquid from the onions have actually gone into the chilies because you can see a lot of the liquid's gone. A lot of it's been absorbed by the chilies. And so we do this double method of frying it and covering it. And that sort of steams and opens up the chilies a lot faster than just cooking it in regular oil. And we can see when I eat them, they're nice and soft now. Fantastic. And now we're going to cook the coriander. So we're going to do something we're going to bring the heat up, stir it in. We want the pan nice and hot so we can deglaze it and then get the aggressive bubbling and all that going. So now it's getting hotter. We're going to take out both of our, we got a Chinese black vinegar and we got our soy sauce. So now, see all that, that's really hot now. Turn it off. We turn off the heat and we add a little bit of black vinegar, a bit of soy, a little bit of black vinegar. And for me, that's it. And then we cover it. And that's going to sit, that's going to steep, soften everything, get all the juices out. It's a bit dry now, but you'll see later, as it softens up, it'll just become this really nice, unctuous sort of dip you can dip your dumplings into. All right, now we're going to cook some of the dumplings. And I'm going to show you a little secret on how to cook really awesome dumplings that they don't teach you. We boil them. first. And you see my pan here. This is what happens when this pan is like traveled with me for like to like two, three different countries, I think. And then I use a heavy lid. Yes, this is a imitation La Creuset. It says happiness on it. It's great. I love this so much. So we're gonna put it over, and the heat's gonna. I like this because it's got a nice heavy lid, and I'm so lucky it fits my pan. So that's gonna build up a lot of pressure as we cook them, and that's gonna be really delicious. We got our little dumplings here. We're gonna test now, and then we'll be back when the water boils. So we're gonna put the dumplings in before the water boils. Oh, these are. Oh no, that one's gone. That's what happens when you don't put like a baking paper. So remember, baking paper important. So we put them in, and then we cover them. We just need light poaching to happen and the ingredients to cook because then we're just gonna fry them up really fast and get super crispy skin. That's how we do it. That's kind of it. And then we just leave it, and we'll fish them out of the water, and we'll see. So, and for me, that's kind of it. I don't think you need them. I know a lot of places cook them a lot more, but I don't feel like there's a reason for us to do that. So we're just gonna take them out now. A very light poach for me is perfect. I think if we go too much, it's just gonna be a dry dumpling, and I don't think any of us want dry dumplings. And the poaching also firms up the skin, so now it's a lot more easier to handle. And like the entire dough is fully cooked, so we don't have to worry about this anymore. And another thing to consider once the dumplings are, take them off the towel like right away because they're gonna stick. So if you don't have like super hands like me, then just drain them. Save yourself the pain. We're gonna dump them and then we're gonna use the same pan. We wipe, put the pan back in, and now what we're gonna do is just gonna fry them. That's the best part of how simple this dish is. There's no like you trying to figure out, oh, how is this? How is it gonna work? Oh, is my pan control correct? My heat control correct? Do I have the correct lid? You don't need to worry about that if you just poach it. And then your pan's already hot. Put them in. Now look at that. Now, look at that. Look at that. Look how simple it is. Zero guesswork. Zero guesswork. So easy. Look at the beautiful crust. So, it doesn't need to be that complicated. I think it can be pretty simple. And then we'll go plate it up. Alrighty, so let's plate these boys up. They're very hot, so careful. So if you wonder why there's two different shapes, I cooked two pork and two shrimp. I mean, I don't even know which one's what anymore. I like this plate more. It looks a lot more restaurant-y, don't you think? Kind of feels like I'm in Japan, eating from a little yakitori shop. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. I love this. It's such a fun textural thing to eat. Usually you get dipping sauces, but no one gets like little condiments that they can put on little dumplings and eat them with. So I feel like this is really nice. And it's a beautiful plate of dumplings that's cut into them. Let's try them out. As luscious as I want them to be. I don't want to put that much fat in there. Butter usually makes it really luscious. This is why I can't eat outside anymore. Look at that. Well, goodness. Goodness. But yeah, look at that. Beautiful, perfectly cooked. This is just too good. Wow. Oh, goodness. Wow. Well, that's a beautiful dumpling. Enjoy. Have a good evening, good night, good morning, or good day. See ya.